Our 4 locations were Kenton, London, and Marysville in Urbana, Ohio. And as you all know, Northwest Ohio suffered severely from several different weather events with excess rain, so we actually did lose that location. I just want to go a little bit in review of 2015. Early on we had awesome planting conditions and nearly 100% stand counts, and then it turned bad for some. The key word this year, I think, as you all know, is variability. We suffered a lot from water to nitrogen to sulfur to disease. So it was a busy year for us crop consultants. And there's definitely a dividing line of good and bad. Not everybody had what Northwest Ohio went through. This here just a couple pictures, representing the awesome conditions we had in those early vegetative stages. So like I said, we had pretty good weather in our specific region. The rains didn't really start to come in heavy till right after that side dress time. The picture here on the left is probably not a laughing matter for some of you, but this just represents what we went through in 15. There was a lot of cornfields on the right, and we had a lot of up and down corn, as I'm sure as you guys are aware of. This here is just a little video of my sums up my scouting season. Not playing. Well, anyway, it's me standing in basically a lake, and there's a lot of areas that were under anaerobic conditions for a long period of time, where it really hurt our yield. And so just a little bit on the design of the trials that we did, the different locations. Each area was about 30 to 50 acres. We did a 3-gallon in-furrow rate. Each operator was using 2x2 28, and everything was no-till planted. It was the same hybrid across the whole entire plot, and each grower used RTK accuracy to do every other pass. And this is just a map representing that every other treatment. You can see, with the PCT, we had nearly a 2-bushel yield gain. I think these are all the plots combined together. But let's take a look at the little picture and get into the details. Our first location was in Marysville, Ohio, and you can definitely see here on the left is our area where we had the in-furrow treatment, and then on the right is where we did not. So there's definitely a visual difference there, where the in-furrow is showing an advantage early on there. And keep that picture in mind here. Those next couple slides, I'll bring that back up. And once again here, on the left is with our in-furrow treatment, and you can definitely, see a difference there. We had a lot more top growth, a little bit more advanced root system there with the treatment compared to the untreated. And I do want to point out these both at the same growth stage. The area here in the black box is representing that picture I just showed you 2 slides ago, to where this image was actually flown on July 22nd, and you can still see, the PCT is showing an advantage at that point. And just a little background on these first 2 locations. These soils are, a little bit more tougher soils, lower organic matter, a lot of variability. So, you can see we're seeing, yield difference in pretty much all of our CPU ranges. 4, 5, and 6 are actually statistically different. Our second location was in Urbana, Ohio, and this was the location that had the biological added to it. And once again, you can see a slight advantage. Not a whole lot, but definitely can see a little bit of a difference there. And same here, we have a little bit more top growth. It's showing somewhat of an advantage. Go on to the next, Andrew. This year we went back on July 2nd and dug up plants right before the tasseling, and you can see here the area where there was no PCT applied, definitely caught up with the PCT, and go on to the aerial image here to where I can't really pick out any differences there between the 2 applications. I did find one area here on the north side of the field where I was seeing maybe a slight advantage when that image was flown. And it kind of makes some sense to me because this particular area of the field is lower producing type of soil, has some slope to it, so it kind of makes some sense to me. The numbers on this location were rather interesting. In our CPU2, we had a huge yield gain there, to where we even saw some in our higher producing soils as well. But I do want to caution you on our 8 CPUs, the limited amount of acres that we analyzed there. So. Our third location was in London, Ohio, and this particular location was higher producing soil, probably a little bit more well drained, and we just did not see a difference at all throughout the entire growing season. So the image here represents just that, and as well the numbers represent that as well. We just did not see a beneficial yield gain. I'm not going to get in a whole lot of detail into the tissue test, but we did take tissue test right before tasseling, and there's just no difference. The top is with the treatment and the bottom is without the treatment. Okay, so I went ahead and put 2014's data set in there as well. And you can see that strong trend in 14 where the PCT we were seeing a lot of a strong trend of yield gain there with application, to where 15 we were kind of all over the place, and our CPU2 kind of backs up the 14 data. But go on to the next slide, Andrew. 6.8 advantage is that's a significant difference there. So we start to get into some of the economics, and with just the PCT only, the cost per gallon is $5.30. So at 3 gallon rate, you're at $15.90 per acre. So at 350 corn, you're going to need about 4.4 bushels to pay for that product. And then if you add in the biological, the way they have that price structured is actually they add in $6 an acre, not by the gallon there. So with the biological, you're at $21.90, so you're going to need 6.26 bushels to pay for that product. And don't quote me on this, but average cost per row to set up your planter is about $500. Times 24 rows, that's $12,000. And with that being said, there's companies out there that they're offering to pay for some of those costs. So my conclusion for 2015, like I mentioned, that 6.8 bushel advantage in CPU2 really backs up our 14 data. But at the same time, our numbers were kind of all over the place. And why didn't we see dramatic results, a similar trend of 14? And I think a lot of that has to do with the in-season variability that we had. Full disclosure, I think I still think that there's value in our lower producing soils to where this product might work. To where we could variable rate apply this and just in our lower producing soils only. I also think it could be a candidate for low fertility environments, and maybe for larger growers that are consistently planting early, and it seems like our genetics are allowing us to maybe get out there a little bit earlier, to where I think this might have a fit. But the reality of it is, guys, we got to sharpen up our pencils and really focus on our best return on investment here. And maybe this makes more sense back when, if we ever get back to $7 corn, will that day ever come around again? This is kind of a little sidebar for my presentation, but I encourage guys to try new things, and but I want to maybe get this message out there to, I hear this all the time, to where guys will try a new product, and I'll ask the question, well, what was the yield difference? What did it do for you? And they don't have an answer for me. And so, well, it looked good, throughout the growing season. So, it made them feel good more than anything, I guess. But I guess I want to, just maybe caution, don't just do like a couple passes in the field. Don't just spray half the field and not the other half. Do multiple strips throughout the field, and really, sit down with whoever your trusted advisor is, and accurately, analyze these new things that you want to try. I want to thank TruPointe for participating with us again. Brian Schulte, Bob Lucia, Jeff Goodbar, Jane Jim Mitchell, Todd and Paul McGuire, and Jan Lehman as well. Without these guys, we cannot get the study done. There's my contact information if you have any questions, and also the PCT web link is at the bottom if you guys want to go research that product a little bit more. So with that being said, is there any questions for me or Andrew? Do we have time, Racine? Okay.
Nothing? Go ahead, Bob.
Who's Andrew?
That's me.
Oh, okay. That's Raj.
Do you have one out?
Yeah.
That's Andrew.
Did you do any testing on the PCT with the new capture products? Because there's biologicals in there, and I'm just curious if you have done any research on the new biologicals from FMC, whether or not you have to have the biologicals in the products or not.
Yes, we did not do anything with capture with this particular study. We have done it with some individual growers, but to answer your question, no, we have not done a whole lot with capture.
Well, I'm just saying there's 2 new ones this year that have biologicals in there.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to do the research, you ought to look at whether or not that's advantage. Because if you're getting biologicals for $2 an acre on the new Ethos product, maybe that's something that will help out, give you value.
Absolutely.
Are you volunteering to do a yield study for us, Alan?
Well, I got some guys who go to try it, so we'll take a look at it.
Okay.
And like I said, I'm not against trying new things and trying these products. I think we just maybe need to really pencil it out and stick with our normal MPK program. And if you do try new things out, just to make sure you really make sure that it's absolutely paying for you. Go ahead, Scott.
You threw out number 1, 2015 CPU number 1. Looked like it was
I did.
summarizing it. So why? You got to recently explain why it's such a field hit with.
Yeah.
PCT.
So the reason I threw out CPU 1 was because of the limited amount of acres. There was essentially there was no CPU 1 in the study. So we have about 5 minutes if anybody else wants to.